Hello and welcome to this edition of Daily Active brought to you by Bootleg Macro. I'm Dustin. Now we're going to be looking at Meta today because this apparently is the hottest stock in the entire NASDAQ at the moment. Look at that pop. That gap up when you're already a multi-billion dollar, multi-hundred billion dollar company means that people are in love with you at the moment. Meta might become the new Tesla as we make it through a recession because they still have major revenue, it seems. Mark has clearly heard the messages. He has cut costs. Now, if we look at the weekly chart, it doesn't look as great, but I can say that based on where we've come from when we peaked here in 2021 in September, we've essentially started to break back to that 2022 kind of high that we saw at the time. What we're doing if we're breaking above and staying above is really making a statement that the bad times are over for Facebook. We may go side to side around 200, but at least the idea that we're going to be back down around 90, that is a thing of the past. We're going to go ahead and look at the weekly sentiment here. We can see that this is a representation of bullish sentiment and bearish sentiment. Right now, we are at 67% bullish sentiment. That is a little aggressive. The way that this generally works is that it usually will top out somewhere around 60%, and it'll sometimes bottom out around 35 to 40%. So when you're at 67% right now, that's a pretty good indication that you should expect some mean reversion in the future. When we look at it on the daily sentiment indicator, actually we've seen some relative mean reversion. Right now we're only at 47% actual daily positive sentiment for bullishness, which is kind of good to see, just because if you look at the type of move that we've seen, especially this gap up after it's come down a little bit, this means that you have a lot of room and actual bullishness to come back in the market and demand to drive it higher on the short term. Now we'll look at the volume. We can see that so far through today, the volume is incredibly high. This isn't going to be completed when the day is done. I'm going to do this a little early because they got a draft party to go to tonight. Go Vikings, go Buccaneers. And now if we're looking at the weekly volume, we can see that essentially Meta's turned into what you want again. It's got low volume like it had back in 2020 and 2021 before it started to see the bearishness take over and then volume exploded. So the idea that volume's kind of low on the weekly is kind of a positive sign, especially if you trust this breakout. Now looking at the volatility here for Meta, what we can see is we have rising volatility, which is in blue, and we have rising price correlation, which is in red. That's incredibly positive. If you have volatility rising with price correlation rising, that means that the volatility can continue to break out and the price will essentially do what it's doing right now, which is gap. It'll move aggressively higher versus it moving slowly higher. Now we look at the daily volatility here. What we can see is that volatility has essentially been falling for Meta for a little while here. And while correlation has been positive, that's the type of move we've seen just on the daily move. This is completely going to change because the correlation has started to actually go negative, and it's probably going to go negative completely just because volatility probably will continue to fall. I'll be really interested to see what this looks like tomorrow once we get the full day of data into this volatility model, just to see. Now we're going to look at the non-sentiment trade range on the daily. Obviously, when you have a massive breakout, you have a gap up and it holds significantly, it stays in a very tight range, you're going to get something where the price goes way above the top of its current range. You saw that actually back here in February of 2023. So we are seeing something that we've seen before. So we would expect it to probably go sideways for a bit, probably do a little mean reversion, and then continue along its path in a bullish nature. It's very good to see from Meta. I would say I don't have any of it. I'm not long, I'm not short, but it looks like a really good opportunity if you want to buy some tech, especially some large growth tech right now. Now we're looking, we can see that Meta's essentially the top of its range. I mean, that's a little concerning when you honestly think about it, which this kind of coincides with the idea that you're at 67% bullish sentiment on the weekly indicator. You're at the top of your range. So you could very easily come all the way back down, or if you hit $68, I doubt it's going to do that, but the volatility is so high that you could see that and then be a probabilistic move. But you also could go all the way up to 254. Now, I imagine it's probably going to go closer to 254 than $67, but you're probably going to see some sideways action here for a little bit before you start to see it really start to break out again. And that's primarily because when you get a range move like this, it takes a long time for the market to feel comfortable. And there's a lot of people who either bought down here around 90 who want to get out maybe because they're up 100+%, or there's people who have bought up here who are hoping that it would come back up and wanted to sell back around here, 220, 225, just to cut their losses. So we'll see what happens. But what do you think? Are you long? Are you short? Do you like it? Do you love it? How do you feel about Meta? Is this just some guy on the internet? Talk to you soon. Bye. Hey, would you be interested in learning how to build this exact same model right in front of you in the next 90 minutes? I teach you exactly how to do it. I'm going to show you the conditional formatting. I'm going to show you how to set up your actual columns. I'm going to show you how to get the data for free. And I'm going to show you how to use this to be able to look at any stock you want to across the entire market with just a type of your fingers. And you don't have to pay for a dime of the data. All you have to do is put in a little bit of your own time to build a tool that you'll have for free for the rest of your trading career. What do you say? Take a look at the product that I have here on Take a look here at the Bootleg Macro Model Building course for all traders. Now, I'm going to explain to you all the different things that you're going to get if you come to this page. I explain to you all the different benefits, like you're never going to have to pay for another service again. You're going to finally be able to create your own analysis. You're going to be able to understand your own independent view of the market without having to rely on charts, or indicators that everyone else is using. I'm going to teach you how to build something that is so personalized to your trading style, it has to fit. So dive right in, check it out, and I hope to see you in the course.